Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I want to officially welcome you to Dr. Dawn Shop Talk, your place for online career and life coaching, corporate training for businesses, and professional development for school districts. I'm Dr. Dawn, CEO and founder of Dr. Dawn Shop Talk, and we just love a Monday and would like to welcome you to another episode of our Monday Huddle. The Monday Huddle is actually a strategy I've used with my own staff for years because I really believe that if you change your opinion about Monday, you really can change your life. So I hope that you plan on being part of our Monday revolution and join us here at Shop Talk each and every Monday so you can start believing about Monday the way we do and start to see it as a fresh start and new beginning. All right, now don't forget that our Monday Huddle covers just 3 tips. There's so many more tips, you guys, I could share with you, but I'm really trying to keep the show relatively short so you can join us live when you can on your lunch hour. So the Monday Huddle is basically a small taste of what I could offer you in our customized packages and presentations. And that's where, of course, I would go much more in depth, whether it's career or life coaching, whether it's perhaps redoing your resume for you in a resume reboot, or the career confidence bootcamp we have. Check out all the different services that we can offer you on our website at drdawnshoptalk.com. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. If you joined us last week, you know that we're actually finishing our 3-part series on time management know-how for your office, for your home, and yes, for your suitcase. So if you caught us on episodes 1 and 2, you know that I shared with you our office edition, which were my favorite tips for office time management. Last week was our home edition where we talked about all the tips that would help you with time management in your personal life. Today is going to be our travel edition, and I'm going to help you streamline how you pack, how you think about packing so you can actually create more time for yourself. Now, before we start with any of our tips, I want you to think about this one concept. The concept is streamline your packing, and if you do that, that's going to equal extra time saved. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. You guys, if you started to count all the extra time you spend trying to just figure out what to pack, the extra lines you have to stand on if you're traveling by plane, because TSA is going to have some long lines usually if you're bringing several suitcases, or even the extra errands you're going to have to run usually the day before you travel, right? Because you've just run out of some skincare or toiletries. And ironically, these are things you use every day. So now you've got to run these extra errands. If you added up all of that time, you would be shocked at how much time you're wasting that doesn't have to be wasted. So I am so excited to share my tips with you today in this travel edition. And these are just some of my tips, but if you follow them, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much time you get back so you can actually enjoy your vacation and your travel. My goal today is to help you have stress-free travel and make that process as seamless as possible. So that's our goal. All right, you guys, I am now going to introduce my co-host to the Monday Huddle, who's just joined me here in our online broadcast studio, CEO and founder of Southern Inspirations, and one of my dear friends, Michelle Williamson Hill. Happy Monday, Michelle. How excited are you to talk about these travel tips?
Happy Monday, Dawn. And I'm actually more excited than you know because I will be traveling later this week. So this is perfect timing.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Right? Who doesn't need a little extra help in figuring out how to travel better, especially under these stressful conditions, right?
Yes, absolutely. So any tips you can offer me to streamline that suitcase and make this an efficient trip, I am all ears.
Wonderful. Well, let's get started. I'm so excited to talk about the tips today. In fact, I'm going to put my trusty readers on just to make sure I've got our information up there for us. Okay, you guys. So let's go ahead and get started with tip number 1. Okay. This one, you guys, seems simple, but I promise you, it has a little extra something, something in there. Let me explain what I mean. Tip number one, you can't control the weather, you guys, but you really can check it. What I mean by that is oftentimes we're so busy right up until the end, we think, I'm not going to even worry about checking the weather. It could change, etc. Well, yes, you guys, that's true. But if you're traveling like Michelle is, right, in hot times, in the summer, getting ready to travel, or you're traveling in the wintertime, you really do need to think about some basic weather so you can be better prepared. Now, even if you're traveling right now in the summertime, I always recommend packing what I like to call those just in case items. Let's look at summertime, for example. In the summer, yeah, it can get a little cooler in the evenings, or maybe it is a little hotter than they anticipated, but you still want to bring some just in case items. My favorite just in case item is a lightweight cardigan because you guys, the weather can change. All of a sudden, you're in a sleeveless top, let's say, and now you're really cold, or you walk into a building and you guys, the temperature is crazy. They've got that air conditioning turned up so high, it might as well be wintertime, right? And speaking of wintertime, when you do travel in the winter, make sure that you bring a coat that's really versatile, something that can keep you warm, but also something that would be good in the rain, right? Not your time to perhaps bring a wool coat, let's say. And because items like coats can take up a lot of room in your suitcase, you don't want to pack that in your suitcase. Go ahead and wear that. Now, if you're on a plane and you don't want to wear it in your seat, right, you can actually usually put that on top of your suitcase in the overhead compartment. Or my favorite trick is to use my coat, you guys, as a blanket because I am freezing on a plane. I am so cold, but I don't want the coat on me necessarily with the seatbelt. So I take it off. I use it as a blanket. Now, if you're traveling by car and you don't want to wear it in the car, then just put that in the back seat or on top of your suitcases in the trunk, right? What do you think about that first tip, Michelle?
That's a good one. And you're so right about the weather, depending on different parts of the country, because even in the
Yes.
blazing heat of the summer, those summer nights sometimes can surprise us. And so I would much rather have a little cardigan just in case than not have one and find myself going, ooh, little chill there.
And if you're cold, you're just not going to be comfortable and have a good
That's
time,
right.
right?
That's right.
All right, you guys, let's move on to tip number 2. And as you can see, as it scrolls across your screen there, I believe if you follow these tips, just like all of our tips, you guys, you're going to start your Monday off on the right foot, especially if you're getting ready to travel. So let's look at my second tip. Tip number 2, I want you to start using my BWS rule for your color scheme. Okay, you guys. Let me explain what I mean by that, okay? This may sound a little crazy, but y'all know I love an acronym. Okay, BWS stands for black, white, and splash of color. So let me explain a little bit more about what I mean about that. Okay, you guys, I want you to start using black and white clothing as the foundation of your wardrobe. Then add a splash of color. It could be a tank top that goes with everything. Since you're packing black and white clothing, it's going to all mix and mingle really nicely. Or it could be a scarf. It could be a necklace, something like that. So if you do black and white clothing as the foundation of your travel wardrobe and just add a splash of color, that's really going to help. Also, speaking of accessories, go really simple on your jewelry. And what I mean by that, this is not the time to bring some heirloom, you guys. You don't want the stress of what if that gets lost, right? So go with jewelry that you're not going to freak out too much about if it gets lost. And when I say go simple, do either all gold or all silver, because then that's going to go ahead and go with everything else that you have in your wardrobe. And many times I recommend for the ladies like a statement piece, a statement necklace, and that can be a bright color. And since you've packed black and white as the foundation for your wardrobe, everything is going to mix and mingle perfectly with each other. What do you think about that one, Michelle?
I really like that one because that keeps it simple. But yet, like you said, with adding that splash of color, you can mix and match, and it doesn't, feel like you've brought two pieces per se. Because with the scarves and the jewelry and the different things, you can, interchange those items. So I like sticking to those, particularly on a shorter trip as well. If you just need
Right.
2 or 3 outfits, I would think it'd be so much easier just to do it that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know that we've got gentlemen that tune into our show too. So maybe you guys are not so worried about the statement necklaces and things like that. But what my husband does, you guys, is he'll go ahead and add a splash of color by perhaps having, a different tie or a different colored jacket or something like that. Something that's going to mix it up just a little bit, okay? Or maybe a t-shirt that has some color in it, that kind of thing. And with guys, you really do have to be careful about your shoes and things like that. We're going to get to that in just a minute because they take up a lot of room in your suitcase. So when we get to our next tip, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that as well. Okay, you guys, I want to go ahead and remind you that we just absolutely love it when you get to join us live. And we know, you guys, there's never going to be a perfect time where everybody can join us on their lunch hour. But do make sure that if you can, you let us know that you're watching, because if we can, right, Michelle, we love to give a shout out.
Yes.
Now, speaking of shout outs, I have got to take advantage of the moment I've got here and give a shout out to my sister. All right, you guys, I am so lucky. I have 2 amazing sisters, and one of them is a diehard marathoner. Well, she would be traveling to the Boston Marathon had COVID-19 not hit, right, and make most of those events virtual. She is such a diehard runner that she qualifies for Boston. A lot of people may not realize you have to run fast enough to qualify. Michelle's a dear friend of mine, so she knows I've actually run marathons myself. I've run a total of 5, but let me tell you the difference between me and my sister. I'm just happy to be part of that 1% of people who've ever completed 26.2 miles. I don't want to train as hard as she does. And Michelle, you know how I love my accessories, right, and all that. So I also want to look really cute for my photo finish at the end. So my sister, Alexandra, if you're watching, you tease me all the time about, Dawn, if you would just try, you could so qualify for Boston, but I don't want to. I want to look cute at the end, okay? So she's actually running that marathon in September. I would be sharing these travel tips with her if she was flying to Boston, but she's actually going to be running that virtually in her neighborhood. Isn't that amazing, Michelle?
That's very cool.
Right? As travel plans change, how amazing is it that people are finding really creative ways, just like we're broadcasting this show, creative ways to make sure that you can still participate in all the things that you love.
Awesome.
And you guys, that's what our tips are all about. This time management series has been about you thinking creatively, thinking about time differently, so you can really get to the things you love. If it was me, Michelle, I would have been like, oh, they're not having it this year. Okay, I'm off the hook. Instead, she's going to run it virtually. I just love that.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's awesome.
Isn't that just great? Oh, my goodness, you guys, we got some thumbs up, some comments coming in. Oh, Cammie, thank you so much. Listen, even when my friends are on a conference call, they are willing to just chime in every time that they can. Just love that so much. So thank you, Cammie. Appreciate you so much. All right, you guys, we are going to now move on to our 3rd tip. So let me make sure I can go ahead and get that up there for us. All right. This is so important. Okay. I want to explain what I mean about my stop, drop, and roll. You guys know I like catchy phrases. If you think of it this way, stop, drop, and roll, this packing method, I promise you, is going to change your life. Now, Michelle, I didn't get a chance to tell you this earlier, but I have photographic evidence that I'm getting ready to put up on the screen. Now, I've tried it different ways. No matter what I do, it's going to block you and I for a second. But the reason this is so important is, I tell you guys all the time in these tips, if you do this, you're going to be able to get that, right? I really think it's going to save you this, that, and the other. Well, when I tell you that if you follow these 3 tips today, you will be able to pack for an entire week and still look really cute, because if you're like Michelle, we like to have choices and accessories and all that. If you follow these tips, you're going to be able to pack for an entire week in a travel size suitcase. I kid you not.
Oh my goodness.
So I am going to show a picture up here. And Susie, I know she's swamped today. If you did have a chance to tune in live, I want you to make a comment. Take
Oh.
this tip right here. Okay, let me explain what our audience is seeing right here. And my friend Susie would confirm. This is me at the Little Rock Airport getting ready to get on a plane to join my friend Susie. She planned this amazing all-girls 7-day Caribbean cruise to celebrate her special day. And you guys, I had my husband Mark take this picture to show my girlfriends that this too can be you. So what you see there is I am packed for an entire week in that travel size suitcase. I've got a carry-on. Now you see that black purse there is small enough. I always pick this particular purse so I can fit it in my carry-on. And that way a flight attendant can't come up to me and say, oh, you've got 3 items. I'll be like, oh, no, I don't. And I just put that right in there. And the only other thing you see there is my travel pillow. So I'm comfortable on the plane. And my friend Susie could tell you that I had 3 bathing suits. I had dresses so I could be dressed up for the captain's dinner. I had a hat, sunglasses. I had tons of accessories and shoes, and I still managed to get it in there. What do you think about that, Michelle? That's an accomplishment for the ladies.
That's a big accomplishment. I'm glad you have the picture because I don't know if I would have believed that.
That's right. This is proof. This is proof, you guys. All right.
I love it.
I had to share that with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead now and get back to explaining to you guys how I do this. Okay. Let's talk about the stop, drop, and roll packing method. All right. Here's the first thing, you guys. You cannot pack for a week if you are going to continue to bring so many pairs of shoes and so many skincare products that you sabotage any chance you have of even packing seamlessly and stress-free. So that's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to put a stop to doing that. Now, here's what you can do instead. You guys think strategically. Let me just talk about the shoes for a second. First off, wear the largest pair of shoes. Like if I'm traveling and I want to wear boots or maybe wedges, something that take up a lot of room, I tell my husband the same thing. Some of his shoes take up more room in the suitcase. Wear that pair. That way you don't have to squeeze it in the suitcase. And ladies, I know this is going to sound impossible, but I promise you, if you think strategically, you can narrow it down to 3 pairs of shoes. Okay, now Michelle may be shaking her head at this point, but oh, no. Listen, this is what I mean. You're going to pick 1 pair of shoes that's going to be your walking shoes. And remember, since you followed step 2, the foundation of your wardrobe is going to be black and white. So go ahead and pick a pair of shoes that are black or white. Use that as your walking shoes. Now, your second pair can be a pair of dress shoes. If you want to make that black or white as well, great, but you don't have to because you're not going to wear those as much. The third pair needs to be an extra pair that you think your wardrobe needs depending on the season. So, for example, when I went on that 7-day Caribbean cruise, my third pair was a pair of really fancy but very comfortable flip-flops that they make so fancy nowadays. They basically look like sandals, but they don't look inappropriate with those bathing suits I told you I packed. So I was able to wear those flip-flops for the bathing suit. I was able to put my cover up on, and in some cases, the cover up was so nice that with those flip-flops, I didn't even have to change. It just looked like I was wearing a dress with sandals. So you do that, you guys, and I promise that's going to be a very first important step to get you to where you need to be on packing with less stress and finding more room in your suitcase. Okay, let's talk about the drop. What you're going to do is you're going to narrow down those toiletries and those skincare products. You know you use these every day. Ladies and gentlemen, you know you need these every single day. Go ahead and invest in travel size, I want to say portions, but travel size versions of that. Okay, yeah, portions. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. Travel size versions of those things. You guys go ahead and invest the money in it. And that way you're going to drop all those products in your organizer, some sort of small bag, and you keep those products in there. That way you can put those in your suitcase at a moment's notice. If you do that, you're not going to be stuck the day before trying to find those products at the last minute because perhaps you just ran out. So if you follow, again, the stop and the drop, you're now on your way to the last part of this tip.
Ready
Now,
to roll.
we're ready to roll. That's right. We are ready to roll. That's right. Now,
I can help
not
myself
only
on
are
that
you,
one.
I love it. That's right, Michelle. Not only are you going to be ready to rock and roll like Michelle here, but some of you may have actually heard of the roll method. What you're going to do is you're going to take your clothing and you're going to literally roll that up so that you can fit more options in your suitcase without exceeding, right, that 50-pound limit or whatever it is now at the airport for your suitcases. Now, you guys, some of you might be thinking, oh, well, I can't do that with certain fabrics and those kinds of things. You guys, this is not the time to think about wearing something that's, linen or needs to be starched. Don't do that. Pick fabrics, number one, that don't wrinkle, okay, like matte jersey, for example. Or buy those products that you can spray on before and after. You put those in your suitcase, and that way it helps to take the wrinkles out. So don't even worry about the dry cleaners. First off, it's going to save you money. It's going to save you an extra errand. Pick fabrics that are good to travel in. And then when you roll them, literally use the space in your suitcase strategically, you guys. Use it strategically. So roll it into other items if you can. It's really going to save you a lot of room, a lot of expense, and a lot of headache. Right, Michelle? What do you think about that?
Yeah. I have been rolling items for years now, and it really has just made all the difference. Now, the shoes, I'm not to that 3 pair yet. You've seen my but I can roll.
Absolutely.
I can roll.
You have to be very strategic. In fact, my dear friend Amelia just commented, that's right, wintertime, you have to be strategic. I wear my boots on the plane. I wear my coat. I really think about those sweaters and things that are bulkier, but it can still happen. I promise you. I need to find a winter version of me packing for a week.
Yeah.
Amelia, call me. I'll help you. Okay, we will talk. All right, you guys. That is really it as far as our tips are concerned, everyone. So what I'm going to do now as we start to close, let me go ahead and make sure that I put a couple of more things up there for you as we start to wrap up today. Don't forget you can find this episode and others on Facebook, Instagram, and on our YouTube channel. Check out our services on the website. It does come with a free 30-minute consultation, which doesn't obligate you to anything, but it's a chance for us to talk to see if any of those services that we offer would be a good fit for you. Now, as we wrap up, you guys know that I always like to give you a sneak peek into next week's episode. Well, you guys, this is a very important one. Many of you know that Arkansas schools will be back in session on August 24th. So the title of next week's episode is Combat Back to School Anxiety in a COVID-19 World. This is such an important topic, right, Michelle? Because educators are much more prepared now than they were back in March, right? None of us could have seen this coming. But you guys, school districts have faced trauma and huge situations that's affected society. We've been down that road before. We're going to get through this together. So as an educator myself for the past almost 30 years, I have lots of tips to help combat back to school anxiety, because back to school is anxious, it's definitely anxiety provoking anyway, but under these circumstances, it really can be. So I'm going to share just 3 tips, but I'm going to share some tips that I can offer for students, parents, teachers, and administrators. Now, because this is such an important topic and I want to be able to share more than just 3 tips with you, I'm actually going to be offering a free webinar. I'll have details about that coming soon on the website, and we'll definitely talk about that next week. What do you think about that, Michelle? An important topic coming up.
Yes, very important. And I think you'll have a lot of good points for parents and teachers both. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Great. All right, you guys. Well, that's it for us today. We both hope you have a very, very happy Monday. Don't forget to tune in same time, same place next week for the next episode of the Monday Huddle. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.